growing up in the Midwest, though actually growing up in the Midwest has nothing to do with how my dad raised us, but I did grow up in the Midwest, or at least the Great Lake states. But growing up, my dad made a big deal about setting New Year's resolutions. He was always very goal oriented. And if you went into his office, which was in the basement of our house, there'd be all these goals on the wall, and they'd have subparts and subparts, and they'd be very intricate. And of course, growing up, I didn't want to be like my dad. And of course, you end up being like your dad as you get older. But I've learned to love New Year's for the simple fact that it's like I don't want to sound too Dr. Phil, but like a reawakening or a rebirth, or a refreshing or a resetting, where regardless of what happened in the previous year, you can just hit the reset button and you can start anew. You can start something new. You can try something new. And so there's something very refreshing about that. So the way I go about this today, meaning setting something I want to shift or change, is much different than how I used to do it. And I used to do it kind of like my dad, where I'd have all these goals for health and for wealth and for relationships and just all these things. But what I've come down to is I just change one thing. There's just one small little shift I want to take. And the idea is that if I shift this one thing, it can shift or change other things. And I love the idea of one small change shifting a huge part of your life or all of your life. So my thing for 2014 is that I'm giving up refined sugar. Not trivial if you know me. I love donuts. I love milkshakes. I love chocolate. I mean, I am a sugar addict, and I never really realized this, but I am. But I realize that if that's the one thing I can change, there'll be some huge shifts all over the place. I think I will feel better, I will think better, and it will impact all the different areas of my life. So the one thing that I'm shifting or changing for 2014 is to not have refined sugar. Now, here's the one thing. I'm allowed to eat it because I put my own rules together. I'm allowed to have refined sugar one day a month. So I have one kind of binge day every month, or 12 binge days a year. But the other, 353 days of the year, I will have no sugar unless it's in, apples or blueberries. So that's my one thing. And even though it's the 4th today, I actually started 2 days before this year. So I am 6 days into this and I am surviving. Like people who go through AA, Burgess is going to give me like a 1 month clean token if I can make it to 1 month. But so far, the first 6 days, I have not even been tempted. Which leads to, what's the one thing you can change, or what's the one thing you can shift with you and your money and your investing, or what's that one thing that makes a difference with investing? And typically about now, people start talking about what 2014 will be or will not be. And what I'd love you to think about is to take a very neutral approach and go, you know what? Maybe from a moral point of view, or the morality of money printing is very bad and very dark, and it really only helps the top 1% of this country, which is true. But we can't change that. We're not Bernanke or Yellen. But what's the one thing with your investment approach that you can do or shift or have in your strategies that can make all the differences in your financial world and all the other worlds? And for me, or for me to you, it would be for you to have a strategy, or have a handful of strategies, 2 or 3 of them, that can adapt to the market, so you actually don't care which direction the market's going. Like we have with market probability, we're in high probability or low probability mode. And like we have with obvious trend, we don't care what's trending. We buy things when they go on sale. We get in, we set a stop loss. And what you'll see this year with LTech, which used to be kind of a buy and collect, I'm going to move that more into that neutral space, or that agnostic space, where we don't care as much which direction it's going, just that we're on the right side of the bigger move. So that will be coming. The 3 charts I have for you, which, if anything, can explain what may happen in 14. The first one is a price chart of U.S. corporate profits as a percentage of GDP. And this price chart goes back to 1947. So this is a price chart that goes back a significant amount of time. And as you can see, the percentage of corporate profits, or corporate profits as a percentage of GDP, have never, ever, ever been as high as they are today. Corporate profits are absolutely on fire, partially because they can borrow for so cheaply, and they are bringing and driving huge amount of efficiency into their businesses. But also, I think one of the main culprits, if I can call it a culprit, is because money is so cheap to borrow that it's increasing their profit. And I just find it amazing that we're at literally lifetime highs of U.S. corporate profits as a percentage of GDP. I don't know how much higher that goes. It's hard to believe it can keep going up. At a certain point, it has to revert to its mean, which is much farther below where it is right now. The second one I just want to show you was something about 2013, and this is a price chart, one single line, but a price chart of the percentage increase of total assets of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. So how much bigger did the Federal Reserve's balance sheet get in 2013? And the answer is it got 37% bigger. So the Fed increased their balance sheet by 37% in 2013, which helped the stock market scream up to what was a fantastic year. And most people, including myself, believe that the amount of total assets that were added to the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve was a huge reason why it was such a banner year in the stock market. And the third chart is kind of the same thing as the second chart, but I just wanted to add in the actual S&P to show you how the S&P has moved up over the last 5 years with money printing. And you can see on this price chart that really back here in 2008, where money printing started, and going forward, money printing has been part of all the major moves. And where the stock market has gone sideways to down, you'll notice that money printing stagnated or went sideways. And in 2013, it went basically just, that's not even a 45-degree curve. That's our angle. That's more like a 60-degree angle. And so it'll be interesting, even though there'll be more money printing, it won't be the 85 billion a month, which it really hasn't been 85 billion. It's really been more like 95 or 100 billion if you go all in with all the money and the money that the Fed has from their interest on the bonds they have purchased. But yeah, they're going to cut back 10 billion, and apparently the stock market like that because it is going up. What scares me about this price chart is that the price chart looks like a rising wedge, meaning that it's just getting tighter and tighter. See how this line's getting tighter and tighter, and a rising wedge is very bearish. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in 2014, because 2013 had almost no corrections. I mean, these two corrections mid-year were just so teeny, 5, 6, 7%. It was nothing. So, 2014, I think, is the year of adaptation and adapting to whatever the market throws at us to make sure that we're on the right side. And like I say, we have that with market probability. We have that with obvious trend. And now we will have that with LTech pretty soon. So that will be great. And my final thought to you really is for you to come up with that one thing that you can shift that will change the most in your life. And for me, it's taking out refined sugar and seeing how that really impacts all parts of my life. My relationship with my kids, with my wife, with my friends, with you, my energy level, how I think, how clear I think, how much I want to exercise. But that's the one thing. So come up with that one thing. And it doesn't have to be big. I mean, for me, taking refined sugar out of my life in a way is very small. It's very easy to measure whether it's working or not working. So it's not complicated. And if I fail or fall down or break down, I can just get right back up and go, okay, let's keep going. I can start again. So think of for yourself what that one thing is that can shift and change your investing. Maybe it's actually using stop losses. Maybe it's getting a third party coach to help you really understand what behaviors you're doing that are invisible to you that are really hurting your money. And maybe it's, adapting a strategy or investing in strategies and not investing in symbols. So you guys have a great first weekend of 2014. And it is just so crazy how fast life moves. And one of the ways I'm attempting to slow it down as best as I can is to just continue to appreciate what's happening and spending time with people I like and getting out of the future and the past and just being in the present moment with my kids or my wife or my clients or my friends. But that seems to slow things down. So you guys have a great first weekend, and I will speak with you soon. All right. Take care.